Thank you for watching. This is exclusive content from the World Retail Congress 2017 here in Dubai, where I caught up with Dan Murphy. Let's hear what Dan has to say. I'm here with Dan Murphy, who's the Managing Director of Kurt Salmon, part of Accenture, Kurt Salmon, a retail specialist, specialising in, I suppose, the nuts and bolts of retailing, making the logistics work.
Yeah, the operational stuff.
You've just released a very interesting study, which I suppose catches on with the trend that we're seeing right across the world, with everything's getting faster and faster and faster. You've looked at fashion, and you looked at sort of young 18 to 24-year-olds and what their demands are now, and it's pretty clear they want what they see on the catwalk within a nanosecond of it appearing on the catwalk.
Well, that might sound like an exaggeration, David, but that's pretty much where it's headed, yeah.
Now, we all know that those retailers are going to survive the times we're in at the moment are those that can match what they do to actually what consumers want. So given that that is now a consumer requirement, and your study proves that quite categorically, the question is, what must retailers do in the fashion industry to be able to do that?
Well, that was the point of the study. We'd been hearing increasingly from our fashion retail clients that this was becoming a big challenge for them. This is what their customers wanted. The model that was designed possibly 25 or 35 years ago was never designed to be so fast moving, and so the challenge for them was, you know, how do we fix the model? And so we interviewed in great detail about 23 or 25 CEOs, and we also did a consumer survey of these younger customers, about 2,500 of those, and asked them a bunch of questions about what do you expect, and you know, so on. And the results were very interesting. They threw out 6 key themes, essentially. What the report threw out was 6 key things that, and not all retailers are addressing all of these 6 things. Amongst those 6 things, you know, 2 or 3 are here, and it's different types of retailers. But the 6 things are, you know, you've got to really understand your customer. You've got to know much more about what your customer wants to buy. And this goes way beyond what we've all come to know and love as the concentric circles with, you know, the customer is at the heart of everything we do, and put it on a poster on the wall and then forget it. That's as far as most retailers have got, to be honest with that. But they've got to take that next step and really start to understand their customers much more and engage with them on a much more fundamental basis. That's absolutely critical, and we've heard that everywhere we've been here for the last couple of days. That's what we're hearing. They've got to figure out how to be more responsive. So from a supply chain point of view, it's no good saying, yes, I know you want that red dress and it'll take us 3 months to get it. Those days are gone. You know, if your fast fashion customers want something, they want it in a few days.
So what do you need to do as a retailer to be able to actually deliver that now? Because sort of, in a sense, as you've said, not doing it isn't an option because the customer will go somewhere else.
Well, I think the conclusion that we've come to with the report is that it's much more than a matter of tweaking around various bits of the supply chain. So we hear retailers talking about, we're going to try and get our supply chain down from XX months down to X months, and you know, hopefully that'll help. I think it's much more fundamental than that. I think we've gone beyond the tweaking of the traditional model, and I think it calls for a deep cultural, almost a philosophical change in the way that retailers see their relationships with their customers.
And how different is that to, I suppose, the Zara model, which a few years ago disrupted the way in which most fast fashion companies...
Well, that was a step on the journey, and I think the Zara model was, you know, held up as a great case study of how, if you have a vertical organisation, as they do in La Coruña, that they actually control the manufacturing and the design and everything, and being vertical, and there are other retailers who are vertical as well, you know, they were able to compress the supply chains quite remarkably, and so that was held up as the poster boy of fast fashion for a very long time. I think we've gone beyond that now. Actually, most fast fashion retailers have cottoned on to that sort of thing. They can all pretty much do it. Varying levels of competence, but they're all roughly there. But I think this business of engaging with the customers is something that's fundamentally new for retailers. And I think this is something that goes beyond what most retailers today are doing. And I think that's the challenge for them, because even though they all talk about it, I think that very, very few of them actually achieve it. And if you read the reviews in the forums and the customer feedback on social media and things like that, it doesn't take long to figure out that they're not doing a very good job.
So what is the key to engagement then?
Well, again, I think it comes back to the philosophy. We've heard a number of people over the last couple of days here doing some great speeches on moving the focus away from stuff. Siri in Cheshire was talking about, we've got to sell less stuff, and other people have been talking about it's not about the product and the transactions and the margins and the inventory and the store operating costs anymore. It's about, let's shift our vision through 90 degrees and let's focus on the customer. Let's get some proper insights. Let's talk to our customers. We have all of the data about their transactions, their behavior, their demographics, where they live, everything we could wish to know. We know about the customers, but retailers aren't using it properly. But once they start using it, then they can start to understand what we call cohorts of customers. So any retailer has separate cohorts of customers. These people like that, those people like this, and they like different things at different times of the year and on different days of the week. And it's in understanding that and going down through the levels of customer insight. And then what you do is you rebuild your operating model based on that. So if this is what we need to do for 70% of our customers and 52% of them want, delivery within 48 hours and and so on and so forth, we can then build a much more sophisticated. And the phrase that kept coming up through all the interviews that we did is it's about accuracy more than speed. It's about accuracy. It's about using the data and the information and the insights to understand accurately what we should be doing. And that's more important than pure speed.
And how difficult is that to make that change within an organisation?
Well, it's very, very difficult. I mean, one of the things, I've spent 10 years in restructuring and 10 years in some quite complex organisational restructurings and organisational transformations. And the one thing I've come to learn, and there's a guy called Salim Ismail talks about this extensively, he's far better at talking about it than I am. But what he talks about is immune systems. In any large business, if you're trying to transform the operating model, you're trying to way the organisational structure does things, the way the business thinks, the immune system's going to come and get you really quickly, because businesses don't like. The reason they got so successful is they're immune to change. It's a great strength in times of predictability and stability. It's a great strength. But in retail, we're not in times of predictability and consistency anymore. We're in times of turmoil and change. And for that reason, the businesses that are going to survive are either the brand new ones who don't bring that legacy luggage with them, or the ones that are much more open and flexible and amenable to change.
And how feasible is it for supply chains to be fluid processes?
Well, it's perfectly feasible. As evidenced by the fact that a lot of the new startups and a lot of new disruptors are doing it. So there are retailers who say to me, well, it's very difficult to change our supply chain from this to this because, we've established it. And I go, just stop. Look at these guys. They're doing it right now, today. So you have to figure out a way to get over this idea that we've done it this way for 20 or 30 years and then therefore that's the way that we have to do it. It isn't. And that philosophy of business operations is not the right philosophy either.
Well, one of the themes that we've been hearing here at the World Retail Congress in Dubai is that there is only one thing that's certain, and that certainty is a phenomenal amount of change. So thank you very much indeed for those insights. I'm sure the nuts and bolts of retail are going to be as crucial as they ever were, but in a much more fluid way. Thanks very much indeed.
Pleasure. Thank you, David.
Thank you very much indeed for watching. This is just one of the interviews that we conducted at the World Retail Congress 2017 in Dubai, where we broadcast every night with an hour's long program. In order to see any of those programs or to watch any of the other interviews, just go to this website here. My name's David Roth from WPP. Thank you very much indeed for watching.